Like much of what IDA said, it's untrue. In the wild, elephants don't stay together forever and ever and ever. They all break away, and we try to mimic that. When especially male elephants get to a certain age, the matriarch and the females in the group typically push them away. We try to pay very close attention to that. More than almost anything else, social structure in these animals that are social animals are so critical, and the staff is so in tuned every single day to each individual of any of the groups here at the zoo, from the penguins to the elephants to the primates, and what's happening. And sometimes they need a timeout, sometimes they need to go to another zoo. But we pay very, very close attention to that. So for them to say we don't care about that and that we disregard that the elephants need to stay together is just ridiculous.
And what about, I mean, there has been multiple deaths of elephants here at this zoo. So how do you overcome that and being listed as, how do you prove that you're not doing any harm when there has been deaths?
Just like wild populations of elephants and other animals, there are deaths. There are stillbirths, there are deaths, there are problems with individuals, health problems. But the great thing about being here is we can pay attention to that and learn a lot from that. We're working very closely with Cornell University and the National Zoo and other zoos around the country to come up with a cure for EEHV, the elephant virus, that's deadly to both captive elephants and the ones in the wild. If that work wasn't being done, that's our biggest purpose, is to find ways to help both the wild populations and everyone that we have in the country as well.
In your statement yesterday, you said that their claims about sending Doc away was untrue, but that there are plans to have that too go.
That's correct. So again, the IDA saying that false statement, when we got Doc, we knew he was going to be here. We love that elephant. He is an exemplary animal to lead a herd. He's great with his sons, Batu and Ajay. We had no plans, never had a plan to send him anywhere else. So that was a falsehood, and then they took credit for keeping him here now, that we've changed our mind somehow, which is just that's completely false. There was never any intention to have him go anywhere but here.
And is there any concern about his behavior, the swaying? Is that his understanding?
No, and just that's anticipation in many cases. He knows something's that's coming, whether it's dinner, or whether it's time with the rest of the family, or spending time with the keepers. So he's keeping himself busy just like we would if we were waiting for the bus. It's just a natural behavior that is not. There are certain behaviors that can be stereotypic, but we do everything we can to minimize those and to give them something else to think about. Every day, again, we're learning better ways to handle and manage the animals that we have.
I know you can't speak for the IDA, but what is the motivation maybe for groups like this? When they're spreading this misinformation, I mean, do we know why they would do something like this when it's so very clearly false information?
I can't speak for them, and I don't really know the motivation, but I think I can kind of get that they're giving him misinformation. If they stated the facts, it would be a different campaign. And because they aren't becoming informed, like when they send people here that are unannounced and they ask leading questions to not our staff that know the answers, but maybe some of our volunteers or other visitors, they're just misinformed. They're not getting the truth. We as industry, zoos, accredited zoos, have become so transparent in the last 15 or 20 years. We've evolved to want to share the stories about what we're doing. We'll happily share the things we need to do better at and what we've learned and why we need to do better for the animals that live here. And if they would listen to that, if they would partake in that instead of just hold the ground where they think they believe what they believe, I think they would have a different opinion. This community has rallied behind, if there's one species, it would be elephants. Siri, our matriarch, has been the campaign child for every thing that's happened great at the zoo. It was always talking about doing better for the animals, expanding for the animals, learning more about them, and the elephants have always been in the forefront of whatever we were trying to do. So we always want to continue to do more. We have plans for new enlargements up there, creating an outdoor space for them that's heated, that's got natural flooring and stuff. So there's always a new plan for what we're doing with them. We always want to expand for them, and we'll continue to do that.